What's good, everybody? Appreciate checking in. All right, it's game day. It's here, week one of the preseason. We're going to invade Minnesota. Raider Nation is going to take over Minnesota. And we got the Vikings. We didn't have any joint practices. We went down to Costa Mesa and had our 11-day training camp there. And this is our first opportunity. To hit somebody else with a different color jersey on. And I'm excited. I'm excited for these players to get on the field and kind of see what this training camp brought out of them. Now, Antonio Pierce did say that the starters are going to get some playing time, so I'm excited to see just how much playing time they do get. But there's a lot of competition on this roster, a lot of players fighting for either a starting position or fighting for just a backup position or a spot in this 53-man roster. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see kind of how this plays out. And I'm going to break down what I'm going to look at overall for the offense and defense, but I'm also going to kind of go by the positions. I'm going to break down some of the positions that I'm excited to watch and during this game. And so, but before I get into it, if you can, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. Next giveaway is at 4,000 subscribers. So if you want to be including that, hit that subscribe button. I definitely appreciate it. And so before we get into it, I got one question for you. Who do you think is going to do better this game? Who do you think is going to have a better game? Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew? Antonio Pierce did say that he believes each quarterback is going to get a full quarter. So let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to have a better game? Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew? And so let's get into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the depth chart. And this is the most updated depth chart that we got. It's on the official Raiders website. So let's kind of go through this. Let's kind of break this down. Let's first talk about what am I looking for when it comes to the offensive side. All right, we're going to break down the offense first. And first and foremost, I kind of want to see what Luke Getsy's offense is going to look like. I expect things to look pretty basic, your first preseason game. And in preseason, you're not going to break out all the works, right? You're not going to break out all the trick plays or crazy formations or stuff like that. It's going to be very basic, but I kind of want to get a glimpse as to what Luke Getsy's offense is going to look like with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So that's going to be good. But also, I'm going to be looking out for, are we going to get a glimpse of what Brock Bowers is going to do in this offense? There's been a lot of reports at a training camp. He's going to play all over the place, right? And so he can play in the slot. He can play with his hand down as a traditional tight end. He can play as a wideout, and he could possibly line up in the backfield. I kind of want to see, depending on how much playing time Brock Bowers gets, I want to see kind of how is Luke Getsy going to use him? Or we can get a glimpse of that. And then when Brock Bowers isn't in, who's going to play his position? Because Luke Getsy is still going to run the same type of plays. Is it going to be Harrison Bryant? When Harrison Bryant comes in, is he going to kind of play a little bit as to what Brock Bowers might play when he's kind of extended out as a slot or a wideout? I kind of want to get a gauge of what does Luke Getsy's offense look like with multiple tight ends on the field. So that's number one. That's what I'm looking for. Number two is I want to see, how does Dylan Labe transfer what he was doing in training camp? Because there was a lot of positive things coming out of training camp with Dylan Labe. I want to see, how does that transition with pads on? I think he's going to get a lot of work. There's a really good chance. I mean, he's looked at right now as that second string, third down back, right? We got Zamir White, we got Alexander Madsen, but then you have Amir Abdullah, and then Dylan Labe. I think Labe is going to get some decent work this preseason game. So I want to see, can he transition from what he was showing in training camp to live game situation? So I'm definitely looking out for Dylan Labe. And then I want to take a look at, what does this offensive line look like? What does this offensive unit look like as a whole? We have a lot of injuries that we still need to address. You have Colton Miller that's still working out that shoulder injury, and then you got Jackson Powers Johnson, our second round draft pick. He's still working off of a little bit of an injury. I think he's under concussion protocol, which really is never good. That's always tough when you deal with concussions. But, depending on how these guys recover and how we're looking, we're going to need some depth. We're going to need some rotation. We're going to need guys that can step in just in case of injury, and not just for Colton Miller and JPJ. Injuries happen all throughout the season. So guys like Andres Pete, I want to see him come in and see how he runs with Luke Getsy's offense, but even some of these younger guys. That are fighting for not only a roster spot, but just to find themselves fighting for potentially a starting position or a solidified backup position, like DJ Glaze. DJ Glaze, our third round draft pick, there's been some reports at a training camp that he's progressing pretty well. So I'm excited just to kind of see, how does he transition that or translate that to the football field. And then you got some battles, right? I've mentioned it in past videos. You got Dalton Wagner. You got Dalton Wagner. I want to see kind of how he works, as well as one of my favorite undrafted free agents, which is Andrew Coker. I want to see if Andrew Coker can kind of start working his way kind of into that backup role and find himself on this 53-man roster. I think he has a lot of potential. And so I'm excited. I want to see kind of how this offensive line battle really works out. And then the biggest question mark is Thayer Mumford. I want to see how much work Thayer Mumford actually gets as the starter, and really see just how is he going to perform, because he is going to have to be a massive part. He's got to complete this puzzle when it comes to the O-line. This O-line has to work as a full, complete unit. You're only as good as your weakest link. And so I want to see how Thayer Mumford actually does throughout the game and just see how much playing time he gets. And I also want to see how Cody Whitehair does. You know, they're saying that Cody Whitehair, if you look at the roster right now, you got Cody Whitehair that's slotted in as the starting guard because Jackson Powers Johnson is out. I want to see how Cody Whitehair actually does. I don't have high hopes for him just based on what he did in Chicago. And so I want to see how much work does he get. And I want to see just kind of how he flows in Luke Getsy's system. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for this offensive line. I want to see kind of how they produce and work as a unit during the game. And then I want to see kind of what this receiver battle looks like. We have a great battle at the receiver position, not only for the backups behind Devontae Adams as well as Jacoby Myers, but we got a battle for who's going to play behind Trey Tucker, right? DJ Turner is starting to get a little bit more praise at the receiver spot, which he hasn't done over the last couple of years. And so DJ Turner now, not only has he shown in the past that he could help in the return game, he's actually showing in training camp that he could actually help in the receiver game as well, which is huge. I'm excited to hear that. Let's see how that translates to the game and let's just see how that plays out. So I'm excited to watch DJ Turner, but then I got some younger guys behind Trey Tucker, right? Tulu Griffin, Laditra Griffin, one guy that I'm excited about. I want to see how much playing time he gets. Maybe he can get himself into the return game. I kind of want to see kind of how he does throughout the game. But then going back to the guys that are going to back up Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. I mean, you look at the top, right? You got Christian Wilkerson. I think Christian Wilkerson has been getting a lot of praise in training camp. We'll see how he can progress. Again, he was a Josh McDaniels pickup last year. We'll see how he works into the system. And then Ramel Keaton, another guy that is making some acrobatic catches in training camp. A lot of people are reporting that he's really progressing well. I want to see how does that translate to the game time. So again, a lot of competition, a lot of young players. Ramel Keaton, Laditra Griffin, those guys, a lot of young players that I'm excited to watch are in this game. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the very bottom. We got the quarterback competition, right? Like I said before, you got Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Antonio Pierce came out and said that they're each going to get a quarter. I'm excited to just see how they handle, how do they manage the offense? That's my biggest thing. You know, who has the better grasp of the offense at this point? You know, early in training camp and in the offseason, a lot of people were saying that Gardner Minshew had a really good grasp of the offense, which isn't surprising. Gardner Minshew, he's a veteran. He's been through multiple systems, so he understands how to grasp offenses fairly quickly. But then later in training camp, you had reports that O'Connell is now making adjustments at the line, calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. And so I want to see who has the better grasp of the offense as it stands right now, because again, we're less than basically a month away from the first game of the season. And so getting a grasp and understanding the offense is going to be huge. So I want to see who looks comfortable. Again, a lot of the play calling is going to be very basic. It's going to be safe because you want to keep your quarterback safe under center and in that field. You don't want anybody to go down during preseason. And so you definitely want to play it safe, but I want to see who has the better grasp, who's playing comfortable, and who has really some confidence out there. That's what I want to see. And also I'd love to see who kind of has some chemistry or some timing with some of the receivers that are out there. So I'm excited. I'm kind of how this plays out. So that kind of breaks down the offense. That's the offensive side. Let me know in the comment section down below, who are you most excited about to watch this first preseason game on the offensive side? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now let's touch on the defense side. Let's break down the defense. We're going to scroll down to the defense. And now look, I don't think much is going to change with Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham, he's going to stick with the same defensive scheme. I would assume we didn't make any massive trades or bring in some big names that are going to change up the defensive scheme. So I think it's going to be pretty much the same come from Patrick Graham. But biggest thing is who am I watching out for in some of the competition when it comes to the younger talent and maybe some of the guys really fighting to either start or make a name for themselves. And so let's take a look at this. First player that I'm going to be paying attention to is Tyree Wilson. There's a lot of kind of mixed messaging coming out of camp, so I don't know exactly how much he's been progressing. So the one way that you can ease everybody's mind is by your performance on the field. And I think Tyree Wilson has to take advantage of every opportunity that he gets to just show that he's improving. He doesn't have to come out the gates and start, sacking the quarterback every single rep or making tackles, nonstop tackles in the backfield. He just needs to show that he's improving. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see Tyree Wilson and just see how much is he improving, kind of what does his demeanor look like on the field. And I also want to see just kind of where he plays. As it stands right now, he's basically slotted in behind Max Crosby on the depth chart, right? So he's basically behind Max Crosby and he's behind Malcolm Kuntz on the depth chart at the edge position. Now, is he going to play inside? Is he going to play more on the interior? I think he's going to start out playing the interior. As of right now, we got Christian Wilkins and John Jenkins. There's a good chance that Tyree Wilson is going to play, in John Jenkins' spot. But where is he going to play? He was starting to gain some success last year towards the tail end of the season on the interior. And that's kind of where I want to see him play because look, you got to get in where you can fit in. Kind of one of my models when it comes to the NFL, right? If Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz have that defensive end position locked down, Tyree Wilson has to figure out where can I play? Where can I contribute? And as it stands right now, I think he can contribute on the interior of the defensive line. And that's where he found success last year. So I kind of want to see him play there as it stands to start the season. But again, I'm definitely going to be watching to see kind of where he plays during this first preseason game. And then next, I want to actually take a look at the interior D-line. The depth that we have. You got Byron Young. Byron Young is a third-year player that I think there's a lot of positive praise coming out of training camp that he's starting to wake up a little bit, which is good. So you got Byron Young, Matthew Butler, Marquand McCall, and then Nesta Jade Silvera. Nesta Jade Silvera is another guy that I think is going to fight to possibly try to make this 53-man roster. So I kind of want to see, I love that we brought in John Jenkins and Adam Butler. I think John Jenkins is going to be a huge addition when it comes to that, like the 3rd and 1s, the 4th and 1s, those goal line type of situations, because he's just a bigger defensive lineman. I'm excited for Adam Butler because I'll tell you right now, I think he's just an all-around good defensive lineman. He's not going to jump off the charts at you, but I think he's a solid guy that's going to be a great rotational piece to kind of fit in with John Jenkins, with Tyree Wilson if he finds himself on the interior. I think Adam Butler was a great addition to the roster this offseason, and bringing him back was huge. And so you just got a massive, massive competition for kind of that 2nd and 3rd string interior D lineman spot. So I'm excited to watch the interior D line. And then let's talk about linebackers. You got the linebacker position. Obviously, Robert Spillane, he's going to lock down that middle linebacker position. But Divine Diablo, look, jury's still out on him. We're going to see how he produces. Luke Masterson, reports are coming out of training camp that Luke Masterson is really starting to fight Divine Diablo for that 2nd linebacker position. So that's going to be huge. That's going to be awesome. But then as probably more into that second half, Tommy Eichenberg, he's going to get some playing time. And when he gets some playing time, I just want to see how he produces. I want to see just kind of how he flows in the middle of that defense. And so I'm excited to see him. The one guy that I definitely want to watch out for is Amari Gaynor. Amari Gaynor is a guy that I'm high on. I've said in multiple videos just how back when he played at Florida State, he was a good inside linebacker. So I want to see if he transfer that to the NFL level. And then again, not to kind of jump forward, but I'm excited to kind of see how these guys play on special teams. The new kickoff rule, some guys can make some big tackles on kickoff. They can make some big tackles on kickoff and kind of flash at the coaches and kind of make a name for themselves. And so special teams is going to be huge. But I'm excited to watch the linebacker position. And let's go to the defensive backs. Let's take a look at the cornerback position to start out. The cornerback position is going to be huge. We're trying to figure out who that second corner is going to be. Jacorian Bennett, they're saying that he's impressing in camp, which is great. But look, you still got to prove it when you step on that football field. So Jacorian Bennett, DC Richardson, they're saying that he's looking pretty good. One guy that I'm really excited to kind of watch for is MJ Devonshire. I think MJ Devonshire does have the tools, and he's got just kind of the instincts, and he's got that grit to really fight for a position on this football team. And so I kind of want to see how he battles, but we definitely got to see who's going to lock down that second cornerback position. So the cornerback battle is going to be huge. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it. And then you got the safety position. The safeties, according to all the reports coming out of training camp, the safeties have just been tearing it up. So I'm excited to see what the safeties do. But the one safety I'm really excited to kind of see in the battle is between Trey Taylor and Chris Smith. I kind of want to see those two guys play, because Chris Smith is now, you just don't know what you have out of him just yet. You kind of want to see, can he progress at all this offseason? Because I think there's a good chance he might be on that chopping block. But then you got Trey Taylor, which is one of our seventh rounders. I kind of want to see what he does. He's going to get plenty of playing time to kind of show what he brings to the table. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Trey Taylor does when he gets his opportunities. That kind of breaks it down, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me on this one, but I'm excited. I think there's just so much competition at so many positions and so much young talent that I think has a chance to really have an impact this season. I'm excited to see how these kids develop, how these guys get on that field and show what they can do. So I'm excited. I cannot wait. I appreciate you guys sticking with me again. If you can, please like this video, subscribe, turn those notifications. Next giveaway is at 4,000 subscribers. So again, enjoy the game. I will give you my post-game reaction to it, kind of give you my breakdown of kind of what my takes are, my top takes are from our first preseason game against the Vikings. So I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the game, and I'll see you guys afterwards with my take. All right, guys. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.